Seeding-wise, who plays who? We have to still wait because of the play-in games. Let's take a look at the Eastern Conference right now. So we have number 10, Miami, at number 9, Charlotte on Tuesday, number 8, Orlando at number 7, Philadelphia on Wednesday. And then the matchups we know, number 5, Toronto at number 4, Cleveland, number 6, Atlanta at number 3, New York. Now, let's talk about Atlanta for a second. I do not like what they did, and I'm rooting for the Knicks. I'm saying that out loud.
Whoa.
I am rooting for the Knicks, and I like the Hawks. I think they have a really good roster. You know what they have? It's breaking news. A lot of players who play offense and defense. You know, you're allowed to do both in basketball.
You refuse to use the term two-way player.
I won't do it. I won't do it.
You refuse it.
It's ridiculous. So, for those who are unaware, here's what the Hawks did. The Hawks went into yesterday as the 5 seed. If they won against the Miami Heat, they would have still been the 5 seed, and they would have played Cleveland. But they rested basically their entire team, saying, well, we assume that both Toronto and Orlando will win, and thus it'll trigger a 3-way tie. Well, you learned a lesson last night. Never, ever, ever doubt Joe Mazzulla. Because Joe Mazzulla could have Michelle Smallman, Nuno, Cam, Pat, Javante, Canty, and I all on his team, and he will push us to levels that we have never been before on the basketball court. Joe Mazzulla took a bunch of guys that no one's heard of and beat the Orlando Magic. So that creates a 2-way tie that Toronto won over Atlanta. They asked to play the Knicks, CeCe. I don't like it one bit.
Yeah.
They asked for him. Better not get your butts kicked.
Yeah, you better be careful with that.
You choose the Knicks over the Cavs? Is that what ended up happening?
Correct.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, the Knicks, there's more depth there than there has been in years past. And I don't know why on ESPN2 and ESPNU they have a picture of me rather than showing me in studio. That's really, really weird. But I don't know why you would choose that particular matchup, because the Knicks have more depth than they have in years past. And the Cavs are putting this thing together on the fly. They're literally building the plane while they fly, because they made the midseason trade for James Harden. And we'll see how all of that stuff ends up going. The Knicks have been a healthier team, relatively speaking, in the second half of the season than the Cavs. So, yeah, it's curious to me why the Atlanta Hawks would choose to have that matchup with the Knicks versus the Cavs.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today we are talking about something that makes every true basketball fan lose their mind. Teams in the NBA are playing chess when they should be playing basketball. The Atlanta Hawks deliberately lost a game to manipulate their playoff matchup, and the analysts at ESPN are absolutely furious. Let me break this down for you. Here is the situation. The Hawks went into the final day of the regular season as the number 5 seed. If they had beaten the Miami Heat, they would have stayed at 5 and played Cleveland in the first round. But they didn't. They rested their entire starting lineup. They put out their 3rd and 4th string guys. They lost the game on purpose. Why? Because they wanted to manipulate the standings. They assumed that Toronto and Orlando would both win their games, which would create a 3-way tie. They wanted to drop down to the number 6 seed so they could play the New York Knicks instead of the Cavs. They literally chose their opponent. But here is the problem. They forgot about Joe Mazzulla. The Boston Celtics coach took a bunch of guys nobody has ever heard of and beat the Orlando Magic. That ruined the Hawks' entire plan. Instead of getting the Knicks, they got caught in a 2-way tie that Toronto won. But somehow, through all the tiebreaker math, Atlanta still ended up with the matchup they wanted. They got the Knicks. And the analysts on this show are not happy about it. One of the hosts says, and I quote, I do not like what they did, and I am rooting for the Knicks. I am saying that out loud. Another host says, they asked for them. They better not get their butts kicked. You better be careful with that. Everyone is in disbelief. Why would anyone choose to play the Knicks? The Knicks won more games this season than they did last year. They have more depth. They are healthier. They are better defensively. And the Cavs are literally building the plane while flying because they made a mid-season trade for James Harden. They are still figuring things out. So why on earth would you choose New York over Cleveland? The analysts cannot understand it. One of them says, I don't know why you would choose that particular matchup because the Knicks have more depth than they have in years past. Another says, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense on its face. And here is the thing. The Hawks have been one of the hottest teams in the league. They went 20-6 after the All-Star break. If you truly believe you are that good, why are you trying to maneuver? Why are you running away from anyone? Just play your guys. Just see what happens. But the Hawks don't have Trae Young. He is injured. And that is the real problem. Trae Young was the guy who would destroy the Knicks. He was the guy who Knicks fans actually worried about. Without him, who is the bucket getter? Who is the guy who can go out there and get a shot when the defense locks in? Jalen Johnson. Nickeil Alexander-Wall. Kerr. Those are good players, but they are not Trae Young. Trae Young was the best player on a team that went to the conference finals. The Hawks do not have that guy right now. They can defend. Nobody is taking that away from them. But you have to score to win in the playoffs. And you have to wonder where the points are going to come from. One of the hosts makes a great point. He says, if you were Mike Brown, the head coach of the Knicks, you were meeting with your squad today. The first thing you say is, these guys wanted to play you. They did not have to do this. They could have improved their playoff standing, and they chose not to. That is bulletin board material. That is a rallying cry. The Hawks literally said, we would rather face you than Cleveland. If I am a Knicks player, I am taking that personally. I am coming out with something to prove. And here is the kicker. If the Knicks lose this series, it is a disaster. James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, said at the beginning of the year that this team absolutely has to get to the finals. They fired Tom Thibodeau last year because getting to the second round was not good enough. If they lose in the first round to a Hawks team that called their shot and chose them on purpose, that is embarrassing. That is a catastrophe. The Knicks are not going to lose. The analysts are confident. The Knicks are deeper. They are better defensively. They have too many bodies to throw at Atlanta's scorers. But the fact that this conversation is even happening is wild. A lower seed tanked a game to get a specific matchup. That is either the smartest move in the world or the dumbest. We are about to find out. So here is my question to you in the comments. Were the Hawks smart to manipulate the bracket, or are they going to regret choosing the Knicks? And who wins this series? Let me know. I read every single comment. As always, like, subscribe, hit that bell. We are building something special here. I will see you in the next one.